Motherhood is challenging and rewarding, and it's time we discuss the truth about motherhood, our own feelings and desires, why we mom shame, and how we can start standing together. Motherhood is a lifetime of different phases, all while we are expected to manage the weight of life. It's time for us moms to not only help each other by giving a hand, but push each other to explore ourselves on our deepest levels. Welcome to the Mom Still Standing podcast. I'm your mom friend and host, Danielle Lewis. Each week, we will chat with a beautiful mom who is navigating motherhood and life in a special way. My goal, moms, is for us to understand we are more alike than we are different and that we shouldn't mom alone. So join us as we celebrate and honor motherhood. Now go grab your favorite beverage and let's dive in. Hey, mom friends. Today I have one of my flyest homegirls ever on the show with me today. Shontae is hanging out with me.
Hi, everyone.
I have to do this. I'm Shontae. I'm Shontae. I had to do that.
I hear that all the time.
I had to do that. For all the Northerners know what that means. Oh my goodness. So before we dive into this episode, I have to alert my listeners to the fact that we are going to discuss a sensitive topic on this episode. So if sexual abuse or molestation or rape talk will be a trigger for you, then you may not want to listen to this show. But I just wanted to put it out there so there are no surprises as the show progresses. So let's get started. Let's talk. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Shontae, and what you are passionate about.
Okay. I am very passionate about social justice and criminal justice reform. That is what makes me wake up out of my sleep to figure out what to do or think about doing something. I'm also very passionate about reaching at-risk youth and those that are counted out.
And where does that stem from? Like, how did that passion arise in you?
And I've always been the person that roots for the underdog. So to say, I mean, part of it could come from my upbringing, but most of it is just like something that, you know, I just always pretty much root for the underdog, and I like a good comeback story.
Oh, okay. And so you had a very interesting childhood because your parents were very young when you were born. So tell us a little bit about that and how old they were and all of that.
Yeah, my parents were 14 and 15 when they were pregnant and had me. They were in the 10th and 11th grade. Actually, they were both in the 10th grade. And my dad actually revealed later that he stayed back.
And what? For your mom?
Well, probably, you come to think about it. Although my mom will probably say it's because he skipped school a lot.
That's that young love. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They had me pretty young. They both come from pretty big families. Both of my grandmas were very, very much involved. My mom's mom was super duper, super religious. So, of course, when her 15 or almost 15-year-old daughter got pregnant, the shame and embarrassment and just the anger and disappointment, she ended up kicking her out, and she went to live with my dad's mom, who was super duper down to earth and non-judgmental and, you know, just welcoming to everyone. So pretty much my parents grew up like siblings under my paternal grandmother's roof.
And
I think I get a lot of my parenting views from her.
From your paternal grandmother.
Right.
Because she was so open and just down to earth.
Yeah, she was just the coolest ever.
I think it's a blessing that your mother, despite the fact that her mother really couldn't handle her being a teen mom, despite that fact that she had somewhere to go and that she was welcome openly, because she could have possibly been homeless or something. So thank God for your dad's parents that, overlooked that and just were really concerned about her well-being.
Yeah, I don't even want to think what the other alternative could have been or what could have happened if she didn't have somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm. So then how did you make it out? How did you make it out?
Literally at my graduation from high school, afterwards, I was like, what am I going to do? But my guidance counselor in high school she was a Black lady, and she had applied using fee waivers and everything else that I could care less about at the time. And she had applied to a lot of different colleges for me. Like we went on a college tour in the 11th grade, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to go here, I want to go here. But I literally made the decision to go to college based on the type of dudes that were there. We went to visit all of the Black colleges, and we were at Howard, and I was like, it's in the hood, I like it, but the dudes here, they're a little, they look like Carlton.
They whack.
Yeah, that's what literally I was like, oh no, they wear penny loafers and bow ties. This is not my Steve. And then, we went to a couple of other schools. Then we went to Morgan State, and they was up there shooting dice with Timbs on in front of the dorms. I was like, I'm coming here.
You were like, hey.
I felt so at home. Virginia State, Hampton, Norfolk. We went to all of them, but it was something about Morgan that appeased me. So that's where I ended up going. But I didn't know the process of, turning in my SAT score. I didn't know all of that. So my guidance counselor in high school did all of that. She arranged everything, and I kind of just will go to her office and sign something, go to her office and, bring this. And like, I wasn't very active in the process, but she did pretty much everything as if she was like my attorney or something. It's really weird. I actually tried to look for her recently, but anyway.
She was your advocate. Because I think that's the role that guidance counselors played back then. I feel like they don't play that role.
They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
She really was. And even though I didn't see it, she saw it.
Right. And I know another experience in your life, which really where you had to really exercise your faith and really where God really just outshined even what the doctor said, was when you got pregnant with your son and you had that huge fibroid. And I'll let you tell it because you can tell it better than me. But so how big was the fibroid and what exactly were the doctors saying?
Okay, so before I got pregnant, I had maybe 5 or 6 small pea-sized fibroids. And, they weren't really an issue at that time. I just had to keep an eye on them. I stopped getting relaxers. I stopped eating red meat, things that the doctor said, try this, try that.
Right.
So when I got pregnant, they apparently feed off of hormones. So my hormone level shot up from being pregnant, and they grew. They literally grew so fast and so much that they grew into one they clumped together and grew into one huge fibroid. So when I went to get a pregnancy test and an ultrasound, I was already showing at 6 weeks pregnant. I looked like I was 4 months.
Because of the fibroid.
Because my baby wasn't even the size of a egg yet or pea or whatever. But the fibroid, so I was like, wait a minute, and then when I did the pregnancy test, the pH balance or whatever they test for was so high, they was like, oh, you're having twins or triplets. And I was like, well, I believed it because I was so big already. I was already showing before I even took a pregnancy test. And I always kind of had like a flat stomach. So it was weird. So when I went and they did an ultrasound and they thought it was twins, but they didn't get a heartbeat on the second one. So they was like, oh, it might be, a mass or something. I'm like, really? It's that big that it looks like another baby? And it actually was bigger than my son. So at that point, they started, asking me, did I want to get an abortion because it would be dangerous, it'd be dangerous for me and him. And he definitely, not definitely, but pretty much definitely would be born with a deformity or some kind of disability because there's no room for him to grow. His limbs won't grow because the fibroids took up my entire uterus. And he'd literally be bunched up in the corner the whole time and his limbs and, organs wouldn't be able to grow properly. So my mother was down here And she called my grandmother. And at this time, my mother and my grandmother were attending the same church. And they called the pastor, and he just started praying. And of course, I'm still a skeptic. I'm like, why are y'all in the doctor's appointment in the lobby talking to this man on the phone praying like y'all crazy? I'm rolling my eyes like they are so extra. Like, and so we went back, and I was like, well, I'll just take my chances. And I've always been a risk taker anyway. So my grandmother hung up. She was still praying, and my mother came back there with me, and she's like, all right, it'll be all right. We don't have any handicapped people in our family.
No.
Like, what they got to do with anything?
Oh my gosh.
Nobody else in the family was born next to a huge fibroid either, apparently.
Oh gosh.
So I was like, all right, it is what it is. And then, you know what? Another thing, I had like this skepticism about what people tell me. Especially people of other races, because I'm all like think I'm woke, like, oh yeah, they trying to destroy our they trying to destroy our race. they don't want me to bring another black king into this world, just like, or try to be super deep and woke. So I ain't believe him anyway. Now, had a black doctor told me that, I probably would have believed him, but I was just like, so it literally is the time in my life where I really was like awakening to society and taking more of an interest in what our people been through, what our people deserve, so I didn't listen to him, but he actually is a really great doctor, and he was like the reason why I was seeing him is because my original doctor referred me to him because he's like one of the best high risk pregnancy doctors in the state. But to me, I'm like, I ain't believing what he's saying. But he actually was good. But so yeah, that's how. And then, I went through the whole pregnancy literally like I was carrying twins. And it was too dangerous to remove it. It was too dangerous to leave it. It was too dangerous to to do anything. So we just took our chances. CJ was born healthy. Almost 8 pounds, 22 inches long, huge, all his length. I mean, he was normal,
right,
and healthy. And I knew it because I could feel him moving around in my stomach. I didn't feel the fibroid move. I felt him moving. And I got to know, if he didn't move, I knew I'd drink some orange juice or drink some soda, and he would wake right up and start moving. Like that, literally, I started to learn my body. So yeah, everything turned out fine. But my skepticism combined with, I knew my grandmother was super duper connected to the Lord. So, and then also I've always been the type of person that just laid back about almost everything. I don't get anxious a lot. Only time I get anxious is public speaking. So it just was my personality type. I was like, whatever, then I'll just have a handicapped son. We about to get through this.
Well, that was a miracle for you to have carried a fibroid that size. Full term, your son full term. I mean, he obviously was a full term baby, 8 pounds. Yeah,
and I had a natural birth. I refused to get epidural.
And you had a natural birth.
And I refused to get epidural. And 4 months after I had him, I had the surgery to remove the fibroid. And I just wanted to get it out, because they could. I was like, could y'all do it at the same time?
Right.
And they're like, no. So right, a couple months after I had him, I had, the fibroid surgery, and literally was like that was more painful than having given birth.
Wow. Well, I just want to say to the listeners, if there's anyone out there that does not believe in God, that may have the same skepticism that Shontae had, there's no way that you cannot believe that God is God and that he is powerful and that he is a miracle working God. With her just describing her childbirth experience, like that was all God. I've seen her son. I've been around him. He is a healthy, vibrant, spunky little boy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him, and that's just God. So we can only
he's huge.
And he's huge. We just give God all the glory, and I'm just so grateful that you didn't give up that you didn't give in to what the doctors were saying. Because a lot of times they say that, do you want to get an abortion? And because of fear, a lot of women do that, because they're like, I don't want to have a Down syndrome child. I don't want to have a child that's handicapped or could have this or could have that. But it's not that so much that you had a strong faith in God. You were just like, whatever, we're going to get through this, whatever the situation is. So,
yep. Before I even got pregnant and, with the small fibroids floating around in here, they were trying to convince me to get a hysterectomy.
Okay. Which is typical. That's what they did to a lot of Black women.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, well, I'll try my luck. I do want to have a son, or I do want to have a baby with my husband. Cause at this time I was married. But they were like, I think they were going harder for me to get a hysterectomy before than they were for me to get an abortion after I was pregnant.
Wow.
So they, it's kind of like they want to stop that whole possibility from even ever happening.
Oh. Yeah.
So, and I just was like, well, yep, of course, again, I'll take my chances.
Right.
Wow. So, and I know a lot of my friends that have had hysterectomies in their 20s and 30s, and because of fibroids, or because, it makes you uncomfortable during, your cycle, or sleeping, a lot of different reasons. But if you don't have faith, which you should, then just have the attitude of, we're going to get through it regardless.
Yep. And that's easier said than done for some people, but you also had a great support system as well, who was very positive about it as well. So I believe that also helped. So switching gears a little bit, you also have a daughter, and she's how old right now? 17. So you got hit with a kind of a devastating surprise not too long ago, where your daughter revealed to you through a process that she thought that she had been raped at a young age. And I know when I first heard the story, I'm sitting on the other end of the phone like, oh my God, like just shook, like, oh my God. And just what's so powerful for me in how she came to that realization. And definitely, as we have talked about previously, the power of social media, and the fact that she saw a post from one of your friends, and it triggered something in her, and she inquired of that friend, and then your friend contacted you, and then you went and picked up your daughter, and from there it was just a process of really just peeling back the layers and getting to the truth about the situation. But I think it's just so powerful how it unfolded. And you and I both have kind of shared the same sentiments about social media, not wanting to, use it to tell our stories just because of our personalities. And we're just not that open. But that story really impacted me and made me realize how important it is for us to, and I'm not saying share everything. I'm saying when you are moved and led to share something that you have been through, share it, because you never know who's going to run upon your post and see it and the impact that it may have in someone else's life. And so I am just so grateful for your girlfriend. I'm so grateful that you have a very open relationship with your daughter, to the point where she wasn't afraid to even inquire of your friend, and that, she was able to finally tell you, even though she had been holding it for so long. So do you want to just briefly kind of just describe what had happened and what she had experienced at a very young age?
Yeah, sure. So it was, I think it was a New Year's Eve post a couple of years ago. One of my very good friends, who also is like my daughter's godmother here. Since we've been here, she's been a part of my life. I actually met her at that first church that we went to where the comedy show was. Oh. And she's been one of my first friends that I met here. She is my daughter's, she's just the person that my daughter goes to as far as as a godmother role here. We're really close. Mm-hmm. And she posted something on her Facebook page on New Year's Eve about, moving forward and letting go and, just having and getting understanding. So apparently, she had attended the funeral of one of her family members, her grandma, I believe, and she saw the person that had molested her for years when she was a kid at the funeral. She hadn't seen that person in 30 years or so. But that person was at her grandma's funeral because it was a family member, and she saw him, and literally the experiences that she had when she was like 6, 7 played in her head like a movie. She said it all played, all of the confusion and doubt at that age. It was made clear, perfectly clear to her, and played in her head like a movie from start to finish, all that she had been through as a result of this man. So, who was a family member. So she said that it was bittersweet because she broke down and everybody thought that she was just taking the death of her grandmother really hard, which she was. But she was mourning her childhood too at the same time. And she has said she got all the answers. So this is what her Facebook post was saying. I got all the answers that I never could figure out because God revealed to me now that I'm an adult and I'm saved, and she has a position in the ministry, and she's able to handle it and also deal with it better now, I guess. But she said all of the questions as to why I went through the things that I went through when I was younger or a teenager, as far as promiscuity, drinking, just looking for love in all the wrong places. And, it's kind of cliche where they're like, oh yeah, girls that have been through that, they end up being fast and promiscuous and this, that, and the third. And she never understood, why she always had these feelings, but God revealed to her why. So she put this in a very well summed up and well worded Facebook post. And my daughter, who on one hand, I wanted to be upset because she's supposed to be in school, not on her phone.
Right.
But, this was literally, I think, January 3rd or January 2nd when they went back to school after Christmas break, because the post was made on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. It was like, I'm starting my year off fresh and this is what it is. And this is why, and I got understanding. So my daughter inboxed her and was like, Auntie, how do you know that you were molested? And she immediately told my daughter, baby, call me. And of course, my daughter was in class or in school, so she couldn't call her. So my friend texted me and was like, can you talk? And I was like, yeah. So she called and she's like, just asked me a question that was kind of weird because, my daughter's she's not quiet, but she doesn't talk a lot. When she does talk, it really is for a reason. Like she just observes and she listens. She's not shy or anything. She just doesn't have much to say. So when she says something, you're like, what's she talking about? So especially when it comes to old people like us, girl. So she was like, yeah, she inboxed me and asked me a question about my post. I was like, what post? So we hung up so I can go read the post because it was too long for her to explain. And then I called her back. I was like, well, what did you say? She said, I just told her to call me. And I was like, I wonder why she asked you that question. I mean, literally, and it's another thing, you gotta be careful with what you watch. My daughter, I noticed, but I didn't think anything of it because I thought she might have been interested in being an attorney or a detective, but she nonstop, day one of whenever we got a Fire Stick, watches SVU, Law and Order SVU. She doesn't watch any of the other Law and Orders, any other crime. She'll spend an entire day binge watching SVU episodes. So, and I'm thinking, oh, she wants to be a detective or she wants to help, people that are victims or whatever. But she's trying to find answers as to what happened to her in those episodes. Now that I think back, but so she, my girlfriend told me, and I was like, well, she probably can't call you back because she's at school. She might call on lunch. And I was like, but that was weird. Because we talk very openly about sex. We talk very openly about sexual, trauma and abuse. We always have. I've never experienced it, but I know a lot of my friends have and a lot of my relatives have. And I just know it's real. And I've always been really, really open with her. So, when she didn't, she's never asked me those kind of questions, like, how do you know, or anything. So I'm like, well, she definitely knows. Like, it's to the point where I have brothers my parents both remarried and they have children with their new spouses that are close to my daughter's age. And my daughter has never stayed a night with either of her grandparents because they have boys that are her uncles. But I know it's not about that. It's about teenage boys and their hormones. You know what I'm saying? And it just was, or if my cousin has a boyfriend, or my aunt has a boyfriend and it's Uncle so-and-so. Like, she's never, and my grandmother was always big on that. She's seen a lot of abuse and stuff like that in her past, growing up in the country, and everybody was sleeping with other people's kids. And so she always like, you ain't sitting on no man's lap. You ain't going to be all up in no man's face. Get your little grown tail somewhere and sit down. You know, so it's always been instilled in me and my family, and, you know, and I've always been aware of it. So, you know, she's never been anywhere where I wasn't able to control the safety aspect of it, as far as being around boys or whatever, or teenagers or young men. So when something just told, and I know what it was, the Holy Spirit. So I left work because, again, she's not a talker. So I knew if I called her on the phone or waited till she got home from school and said, hey, what was that all about? Why'd you know, she would be like, no, just asking. You know, she went in, it's like pulling teeth. So I went to the school and I went to the office to sign her out, and then they called her up, and she was coming up the hallway with her book bag and stuff. And I was standing in the lobby waiting. And as soon as she seen me, she just like ran to me and just busted out crying. And she's not a crier, and she's not a hugger. She's not affectionate at all, especially towards me. So I was like, okay, something traumatic happened, and I didn't even have to know the whole story.
Right.
And I just knew it was something. So we left. In the car, I called on the way to her school. I called her doctor to see if she could squeeze her in to do a check, because, you know, I'm like, I didn't know when it happened at the time. I just, you know, I was thinking, well, wow, she, you know, when did this happen? You know, one day she didn't come straight home from school. You know, I didn't think it happened when she was a child, because her childhood was so controlled. So I called the doctor. The doctor said I can bring her. So I brought her straight to the doctor. She has a wonderful doctor who is a young Black lady who is very in touch and in tune with what's going on with the teenagers today. So we talk. Usually I leave the room when she's, you know, seeing her doctor, but she wanted me to stay to this time. And so on the ride there, all I said was, who? And she told me the person's name, and I immediately believed it, because I knew a little bit about his history. I didn't know much about him, but I knew a little bit about his history because he is a family member of one of my friends, or my daughter's godmother. And I always knew something was going on there with his situation. But so she got checked out. She didn't have anything, but then it happened so long ago,
right?
That she was 4, 5, and 6. It went over that period of time. So the doctor, told her, everything that can be expected, what's going on, and everything like that. So we started therapy the next day. The detective came, a Raleigh detective came and interviewed her and videotaped it, because I called the police department in our hometown, because that's where it happened at. So it was right before the time that we moved down here. So it's like God timed it perfectly.
Yes.
Because we would not have to be in the same town and see them and deal with them. Right. But of course she did, because she would go back to visit her grandparents and my parents on Christmas and a summer break or whatever. But he knew that I didn't need to be there.
Right. Right.
So, Lord.
So fast forward, the person got interviewed and basically admitted to it, which I found to be very surprising, because most of the time people don't admit to it, but he admitted to it. And one of the things I know that you noted was that some of the details were very similar between your daughter and that person. And so what is like going through your mind? Like, because you know the person, like now things are coming back to your remembrance. You know, you've had to contact the person whose house this happened in. Like, what are you thinking? Like, this has happened to your daughter, even though it was many years ago. Like, what are your feelings? What are your emotions?
Murder was the case that they gave me. No, initially that was and initially, and I selfishly say this, I was livid because of the level of disrespect. Because he knows me. It ain't even about my daughter at this point, because I'm like, he knows me, his entire family, his mom, grandma, like everybody, and I will kill all of them. Like that initially went through my mind. Then, then I was thinking, okay, I do remember now his situation, or hearing about his situation. Right. But at the time I didn't care, because I don't care what you've been through. Right. You should have got help. Right. Don't mess with mine. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when the detective recorded my daughter's statement, he sent it to the detective in Connecticut that I gave them all the information. They went and picked him up, interviewed him, and the detective sent his recording back to the detective here, and they watched it or whatever. And then the detective here told me he's never, and the detective in Connecticut I've been in touch with too, he said, I've never seen a case where the victim statement and the perpetrator statement were almost identical down to the very minute details. It's like they practiced together what to say. Wow. So everything that my daughter said, it literally, like my girlfriend described, played out like a movie in her head. And she was able to verbalize it because now she's 15. Right. And as opposed to if she was 5 or 6, she probably would not have been able to verbalize. But it played back in her head like a movie, and she was able to give the details. I mean, down to how she would end up back in the room and how he would come. I mean, everything. And then when they picked him up, I don't know if it was just years and years and years of guilt or regret or, sorrow. I don't know. But he admitted to everything. He didn't deny a thing, admitted to everything. And
I think that's so amazing. Like, yeah, most people lie.
Right. And then I was prepared to go to war if anybody accused my daughter of lying.
Right. Right. Because that happens a lot.
It does. Like, and some people did. Some of his family members did say, well, what day was it? Where was so-and-so and so-and-so at? Well, he wasn't even home that weekend because he was in foster care with another foster family. So sometimes if that foster mom has something to do, she would contact the family, say, hey, I'm going out of town. Can he come with y'all even though he wasn't supposed to because he was removed from his family. Right. But the foster mom had a relationship off the record with his family. Right. So, when people started questioning her, I mean, you would not believe, like, that family was like my second family. And right now to this day, there's some of them that if I see them, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. And I don't speak to still, like some of them. Right. Because they were texting my daughter, they were calling saying, what day, where was so-and-so, don't ask her anything. Right. Ask him. Right. He was, so at the time he was 15, 16, she was 5, 6, or 4 or 5. So, so he's being charged. They're just trying to get down to the details of when the last instance happened, and if he was an adult, whether to charge him with an adult or child or whatever, like those kind of details. However, the detective from Connecticut had informed me that, the person that he was currently involved with and living with has 2 daughters too. And they're 5 and 6 or 7 or something like that. And he's like, I can't talk to you about another case, but just know that your daughter has really, really helped 2 other little girls.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So it just doesn't stop. And then there's no telling how many kids he's been around or in between her and these, and then again, women, we have to be careful who we're dating, who we bring in our home, because he's living with this girl who has 2 children and 2 daughters, and it don't matter because they could have been 2 boys, because apparently that's what happened to him. So we just got to be careful.
Right.
So anyway, that's still ongoing. It's been a couple years, 2 years. I still keep in touch with the district attorney and everything, just waiting to see. But she will not have to testify.
Okay, good.
No, they got her video, and he's not gonna fight it because he admitted it.
Right. So you said that you had her in counseling, in therapy. Is she still in therapy?
No, she just was discharged in June. Her therapist said that she met all expectations. She was literally going once a week, sometimes twice a week for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So she reached whatever goals they had set in the beginning, and and that's also how I started going to counseling, because I had to go in the beginning, like the first 3 or 4 sessions, I had to attend.
Okay.
Just for, I guess it was part of the requirement. So, yeah.
So what do you want to say to moms that are listening that may, number one, that may encounter this situation, whether it's something that happened recently or something that happened in years past, and how can we safeguard our children? Because what I hear you saying is that you did the best that you could. You made sure this, you made sure that, and this is just something that just kind of just slipped under the rug.
Mm-hmm. Most people that I know, this wouldn't apply to, but for me, I automatically assumed that it was true. Mm-hmm. And I was willing to ask questions later. Mm-hmm. So when I say this doesn't apply to people that I know, because the women that I know, if their daughter tells them something, they're gonna be like, okay, I believe it. Mm-hmm. It could be true or it could not be true, but initially we are gonna believe it because we hear so much about it. Mm-hmm. So just believe it. Mm-hmm. And then also there were things that my daughter was doing, like watching SVU. That was her, calling out or asking.
What's SVU stand for?
It's Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Okay.
It's the Law and Order series that solely focuses on sexual molestation or sexual trauma, abuse, rape. Is all the rape cases. Okay. So and all of the episodes were based around somebody being raped or molested or a kid, or something. And was her. I just assumed that it just was a good show, not that she was trying to figure out or trying to get clarity or trying to get questions answered through the TV. And I blamed myself because I'm like, well, why didn't she tell me? Like literally since she was little, I'd be like, has anybody touched you? And I would say vagina, or I ain't say poo. No, I said, has anybody touched you on your vagina? Do you know the vagina? Like she was literally like 3 saying vagina and breast and she's always been really mature socially and emotionally for her age. And she would always say no. Always. And we'd have this conversation often because, she was always very confident in the way she walked and the way she dressed. And, people thought that she was grown.
Right.
She just was really very mature. She always walked with like this, prissy model walk, and she just being fast. She just fast. So I was like, anybody touch you? Anybody? So, and when we talk about it now, and I'm like, I wish nothing else, but you would have told me. She's like, I know. And I think she said that the reason why she didn't tell me is because she did not want me to tell her that she could never go to her godparents' house again. Because it was, and I didn't blame them. And it wasn't them, it wasn't their fault.
Right.
They love her to no end. Like I know they blame themselves and I know they feel guilty,
right.
So even though they don't tell you, because I held on to that for a long time. Like, why wouldn't she tell me? We talk about everything. And she said she wasn't sure. She said, I wasn't sure what happened. I knew something happened because when I would get around him, I would feel, literally one day she called me and was like, Ma, I just peed on myself. I was like, why? She's like, because I saw, what's his name? And I was like, what? Okay, so you don't need to be, why are you around him anyway? And it just was a happenstance meeting.
Right.
Like it was,
right.
And I went off. So that trauma is still, surfaces. And so, like, if I hadn't already known about it, I would have been like, well, why when he come around? I would have put 2 and 2 together, but some parents may not.
Right.
If there's an uncle and every time he comes in the room, your kid starts acting different.
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just little things like that, are important to pay attention to. And she literally said, she's like, I didn't tell you because I didn't, number one, I knew you was going to go crazy. And number two, which is also bad because I don't want my kids to think.
Well, the truth is the truth.
Right, but they don't need to know that. I want to think that any given moment I'm ready to catch a body. And then, just for, like, I don't want her to think that I'm gonna go crazy, so I'm not gonna tell my mom that my husband just punched me in my face because my mom's gonna go crazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to fear my reaction. So that's another thing that I have to, be aware of. So yeah, it's just to pay attention. I mean, and each one is gonna be different. You gotta know your kid's personality. Like, I know my daughter is not a talker. You know what I'm saying? She don't just say, "Mom, how are you doing? Can I talk to you about something?" You know what I'm saying? So you got to know your kid. So I just want women to know, I mean, if it does happen or if it did happen, I had to learn, through counseling, that, it's not my fault. It's not like I wrapped her up in a bow and said, "Hey, any guys want her?" You know what I'm saying? So it's not your fault. And immediately get counseling or therapy, because I saw a difference in her after like 2 or 3 weeks of therapy. Because before that, I was wondering why she was doing the certain things she was doing, So counseling or therapy or just talking about it, even if it's with like my friend that experienced the same thing, like they still talk.
Okay.
And just she don't have to talk to me about it because I don't know what that's like. I've never been there. And I'm not the type of parent to be like, I don't want my daughter getting close to nobody else. If she can find one of my friends or somebody else that she's comfortable with talking to, I ain't hating. Go talk to her.
Right.
I know my position. So just to have like a team of good women around her, and just, model good relationships and good friendships.
Right. And truth.
Some people think that I keep it too real with her. No, they be like, she don't need to know all that. Yes, no, she don't. I don't tell her stuff to glorify my past. I tell her stuff because if I could have had a totally different, better, easier, less stressful teenage years, I would give it up any day. I would take it. So I'm trying to save you from going through the stress and the heartache and the pain that I went through.
Right.
You're gonna have your own different set of stress and heartache and pain, but that don't have to be it.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. Wow. Well, Shontae, I just thank you for your transparency and your willingness to share the details of such a sensitive topic and probably one of parents' worst nightmares.
Yeah.
And I just pray that your daughter continues to heal and that she finds strength and courage to tell her story so that other young people would be moved to tell their truth sooner than later. So thank you. Social media. Yes, goes back to social media. Like we were saying, here we are. We don't want to tell certain things. And it's like, you better say that, because you never know who is going to see that post and be moved to take action, or even for something like this to transpire. So I'm just so grateful for your friends' transparency and the fact that you have good relationships that your daughter can definitely admire and also seek out when she maybe having questions or concerns. So that's so good job, Mom.
Oh man, I fail every day at something.
Oh yeah, we all
something
do.
Related to motherhood.
Yeah, but we all do. But that part you have done very well, and so definitely gotta give you your props on that. But
I appreciate you giving me the platform to share.
Yes. And so you are actually planning a few things, and so hopefully people will be hearing from you very soon.
Yes, I'm gonna get started. My podcast is called "Free All My Sons." I take that from Lauryn Hill and Nas' song "If I Ruled the World," which one of my favorite songs. And "Free All My Sons" I'm gonna talk to the family members of those that are incarcerated and find out what support, resources, and information that they need or that they can share. And also people that have been recently released from prison to hear. I mean, we hear a lot of stories like the Central Park Five or the Exonerated Five, Carly Browder, Meek Mill. You know, this is so prevalent right now, but I want to hear firsthand, or I want to let other people hear firsthand, what can we on the outside do to be a voice for those that are still in there? Right. Hearing from someone that literally had just gotten out. My first interview is going to be with a guy that did 17 years. He was sentenced to life for drugs, but with Trump's First Step Act, he was released after 17 years. And while he was in there, what do he wish people on the outside knew or could do? Right. What do the other brothers that are still in there need? Do they need, a book, a card, a letter? Like, what can we do to help? Come in, hearing it from them firsthand, and also the family members. Like, how did your life get turned upside down after your breadwinner went to prison for 25 years, or whatever? So that's in the making, and we'll be hitting very, very soon.
Well, as soon as it drops, let me know so that I can direct my listeners that are interested in that subject matter to your podcast. And but thank you again for coming on and sharing. To my listeners, thank you for tuning in. And I hope this episode has brought some awareness to you. Keep an eye on your children.
Yes.
Let's be more aware about their activity, what they're watching.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you all soon on the next episode. Peace.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
You're welcome. Thank you, moms, for tuning into this week's episode of the Mom Still Standing podcast. Make sure you head over to iTunes and subscribe. If you found this episode to be informative and encouraging, please write a review so that we can continue to empower moms everywhere. In the meantime, remember, connected moms don't mom alone.